Super Rugby Unlocked. The final games have both been pretty similar in terms of their scoreline. They've finished with the Cheetahs getting an expected win over the Griquas and the Bulls getting an expected win over the Pumas. I would say that perhaps the Griquas and the Pumas put up more of a fight than we expected. Maybe the end of this game let the Griquas down a bit, and the start of this game definitely let the Pumas down a bit. But anyway, I'll go over some of the key moments and stats and whatnot. It's the final games I've seen today after watching Argentina and Australia last night, and Wales and Georgia this morning, along with England and Ireland this morning. So I've seen a fair bit of rugby, and I watch these games at the same time, which always makes it a bit difficult. But yeah, hopefully we'll get a feeling for it, and you guys can let me know your thoughts on how you saw the game as well. Both these games, if I'm not mistaken, but I'll start with the first one, seem to be a bit wet. A bit of rain in the Cheetahs and Griquas game. So you would expect maybe a bit low scoring, maybe a bit of poor hands. But the first try was a bit of Speckman magic, which we've kind of come to expect from that man. It's not Speckman who gets the try. He could have. It's Nsila who gets the try. Speckman going down the left wing. He somehow manages to keep the ball in. And it's between him and Nsila to see who can force it first. And Nsila is the man, so Speckman lets him have it. Hell of a bit of magic, man. He's in cracking form as old Roscoe Speckman. 5-0 because they missed the conversion early. And interestingly, the Griquas, when they go down the other end, they've got only one thing on their mind, and that's to take any point scoring opportunities they can get. They don't want to go through this competition winless. They get a penalty on 12 minutes to make it 5-3. 15 minutes, the Cheetahs kick one to make it 8 points to 3, so taking that lead out a little bit. But the Griquas pin it back on 23. And the Griquas take a very long one on 29. It's short, but it's just that attitude that we are going to take the points. And it's something that maybe was a little bit lacking in Ireland, England this morning. Ireland seemingly refusing to want to take points. They kept wanting to go for tries. Australia last night against Argentina at times. So it was actually kind of refreshing to just see a team, let's just take the bloody points. And sure enough, they got in front, man. On 35, the Griquas kicked another one. And yeah, they went in front 9 points to 8. They didn't score any more points after that, so they did eventually go behind. But it was nice to see them just opting for the points, keeping the Cheetahs guys under pressure. Second half, the Cheetahs collapse them all. The Griquas opt for the 3 again, but they miss it. So they could have been at least 6 points better than they were if they'd nailed their kicks, but it still wouldn't have been enough probably at the end of the day. 48 minutes, Cheetahs maul goes close, and Amnisi ends up getting the next try on 48 minutes. Interestingly, after the maul goes close, they go back blindside, and I'm kind of a bit disappointed the Griquas guys didn't shuffle across. Someone should have been yelling out. Maybe they would have had time, because it wasn't the quickest ball. And the scrum half, forget his name, was looking blindside the whole time. So it was absolutely telegraphed. But the Griquas guys couldn't get across. There was huge space for Messi. Good kind of cut-out pass, big pass. And they go back in front. They miss the conversion, so it's 13-9. Cheetahs kick another penalty, 16-9. They miss a penalty on 70 to really put it beyond doubt. But it doesn't matter because they score 2 tries. One on 73 minutes. It's a bit of a weird one to the Haas. The Griquas guy ended up knocking it back, and the TMO had to check just who on earth had touched what because it was very messy. But it's ruled to be knocked back by the Griquas, so awarded for Ruben de Haas. He gets the try. Speckman again, very involved in the setup on the left wing. 29-9, they missed the conversion. And then Rudolph, right before full time, recent acquisition for the Cheetahs, he gets another try. I've seen him get a couple in the Super Rugby Unlock season. It's a 5-metre line out, and they play it off the back, and he is able to power over. He has a good reach out, and it's 29-9 the finish. So in the end, a pretty good result for the Cheetahs, you'd have to say, in what was a tough game. The Griquas certainly gave them a fight. Run meters 171 to 199 in favour of the Griquas, actually. Defenders beaten 7-8, pretty even. Clean breaks 1-2, so pretty tight both sides. The Cheetahs made 81 tackles, missed 8. The Griquas made 79, missed 7. So, 90-odd%, I guess, for both of those teams in terms of their tackling, which is pretty solid. Turnovers considered a bit worrying for the Cheetahs, 11-6. But, Yeah, ultimately this means the Cheetahs finish fourth. You'll wonder what could have been with the Cheetah season if not so disrupted by the COVID cases, especially with that game against the Lions, which just seemed to put everything back. They had a bye, then the COVID cases with the Lions game, so yeah, it was a bit of an unfortunate one, and worse so for the Griquas. They finished seventh without a win, but you would have to say they've been pretty good value in the competition. Not every game, but they certainly gave people a bloody nose from time to time and put their hands up. The next game was the one that saw the champions, the Bulls, taking on the Pumas, and they started with an absolute hiss and a roar. The Bulls came out firing. This was a team that wanted to make a statement, even though there was already a foregone conclusion they would be the champions. Curtly Aronson gets the first one. It's one pass from the base of a ruck, and he just kind of has some fleet feet and steps over for a try. Good conversion as well from Smith. 7-0, really too easy for the Bulls early. Smith gets one for himself on 16 minutes, and he hits the ball really at pace. There's a gap, he hits it, and there's no stopping him. Hendricks, I think, was the guy in the phase before who'd really kind of drawn in a few people and made a bit of space for that gap to appear for Smith from the next phase. But it's 14-0. Steenkamp should have had one on 21 minutes, but he was tackled, and the tackling arm from the Pumas player hit the ball out of his hands, which was a good try-saving tackle. I forget which Pumas guy did that, but it was a heck of a save. Otherwise, it would have been 3, but it was 3 a couple of minutes later where Fonsale got a little sniping run. I think the Pumas guy had shot up, but had realised he was offside, so as he was shooting back, Fonsale just took the space, and 21-0. It's too easy. They're going pretty much point a minute, and it looks like it's going to be an absolute hiding. But that's it for the Bulls. They don't score any more points for the rest of the game, and that will maybe take a little bit of the gloss over this. 34 minutes, the Bulls really showed they wanted tries and not threes because they kept winning penalties. Scrum kept getting reset. Eventually, the Pumas won a penalty at scrum time, and they were able to escape. So it's 21-0 at halftime, looking pretty bad for the Pumas. But I guess, if anything, they've at least settled down for the second half of the first half. They've managed to stop shipping points. Second half starts off, the Pumas have a good period of play. Eventually, the Bulls won a penalty at the breakdown, were able to clear, but they still managed to get their one and only try. It was from a maul through Van Schuur, and it was coming, basically. The Pumas had a big period of pressure, and the Bulls weren't kind of in it. So it's 21 points to 5. They missed the conversion, and yeah, I didn't write much else for the rest of the game, to be honest. I started switching my attention to the Cheetahs game in the second half because I mostly watched this game in the first half and this game in the second as things kind of shifted a bit. But anyway, that's what happens when you watch games at the same time. I did notice the Pumas substitute Mafura. He made a really good try-saving cover, but from a Bulls kick through. Bit of gas and a bit of bravery from him to stop things, but yeah, Bulls, pretty good win, if not being all that convincing in the end. They had like a bonus point seemingly wrapped up, but not to be in the end. They still finished first in Super Rugby Unlocked on 23 points. Stormers and Sharks on 19 each, so second and third. Cheetahs fourth, Lions fifth. Pumas finished sixth with just the one win, but like the Griquas, the Pumas also seem to be really a team of two halves throughout this competition. They can play top level for one half, and then they'll get an absolute hiding in the other half. And this was kind of the case in this game. Started the first half poorly. You take away those first 20 minutes, and this is a really tight game. But anyway, Aronson finishes with 89 run meters, 3 defenders beaten, and 3 clean breaks. He's been a heck of a guy for me to be able to see because I hadn't really seen him prior to this competition. Van Staden's also had a heck of a campaign, 11 out of 12 tackles, couple of turnovers from him. The total stats finished 352 to 225. That's the run meter, so the Bulls having the better of it. They had more defenders beaten, more clean breaks, but not by that much. More turnovers conceded as well will be one area that they don't want because that's a negative stat, 17 to 7. Penalties conceded the Pumas with a few too many, 16 to 12. Yeah, the celebrations were a bit muted. It's a bit of a weird one because here's where the competition officially, I guess, draws to a close, but they still go on with the Curry Cup. So the Super Rugby part of this competition comes to an end. It's certainly been a fun one for me to watch. Like I said, I've never really seen the Pumas and the Griquas play before at all. I've watched hardly any Curry Cup, so the teams that I don't usually get to see. There's a lot of players that I have never really seen before as well. Some of the Sevens guys and some of just the guys who've got new contracts, or some of the Griquas and Pumas players that I just hadn't seen. Cheetahs players that I hadn't seen for a long time. Junior Pokomela, among others. But yeah, it's been a bit of fun. I am going to quit, I guess, kind of. I'm not going to continue with the videos for the Curry Cup games. I don't really do the Mitre 10 here in New Zealand either, except for like a little touch of it on Patreon. But yeah, she makes for a long weekend watching as much rugby as I have been doing. So I'll be spending a little bit more time with my my kids and my missus on Sundays, which is when I watch most of these games. But yeah, I definitely wanted to watch the Super Rugby part, which is done. Congratulations to the Bulls. I think overall they've been the best team. It has been a weird competition in that so many games have been disrupted. You've had 3 games off for COVID cases and 1 game call off early for lightning. It's just been absolute madhouse. But I guess, you know, kudos to the people for getting this organised, because it cannot have been easy. The logistics, I hate to think, horrendous. But people have done as good a job as they could. And the rugby's been entertaining. It's not always been top level, but there's been some absolute pieces of magic. So it's been a real mixed bag. The entertainment value has been there. I don't remember watching. Has there been any real stinkers? None that really come to mind. Every game's given you something. So, yeah, it's been pretty pleasing. But, yeah, as I said, congratulations to the Bulls. Jake White's worked a bit of magic. Some senior guys, some young guys, all seeming to come through pretty well. Is Mornay Steyn the current on-form number 10 in South Africa? Probably, man. He seems pretty bloody good. Timeless, ageless. But anyway, yeah, cheers guys for all the comments and whatnot throughout the competition. You guys have been giving me plenty of insights into the teams, you know, especially the Griquas and the Pumas guys, who I don't know that much about. But yeah, it's been fun, and I'll still be keeping an eye on the Curry Cup games. I just won't be able to do kind of full-on videos on them and whatnot. But yeah, I'll be keen to see how things play out. But yeah, you guys all take care. Let me know your thoughts on these games, the competition as a whole, and yeah, I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.